So, has an entire year passed since Thanks for the Memories? Or what? Because the next episode is going to be about Nightmare Night, and in Season 2, Nightmare Night happened before Hearthswarming Eve, so is another year going to pass between this episode and Scaremaster? Whatever. So many episodes seem to be calling back to older ones, or mushing older episode concepts into one. Now, even though this has led to some really great episodes, it's also led to a problem. And that is that old episodes are also really good. So when we get something like an episode that's going to blend together elements of Pinky Apple Pie and Mod Pie together into one, you start doing the math in your head and thinking that this might be the best episode ever. If one new member of the Pie family is this good, 4 new members of the Pie family will be 4 times better. But now I feel let down. You see, Maud was awesome because there was a lot up with her. Well, one specific unique thing that they got a lot of mileage out of by bouncing her around the other characters in creative ways. So the first 2 Pie sisters are amazing. What about the other 2? We got Limestone and Marble in this episode, and they're just the mean one and the shy one. And this poses a problem, because they can't just dump a generic mean character on us anymore. We've had much better mean characters in the past. You know, characters that were understandably rude or cranky or bitchy. By the end of the episode, we were able to side with Seabreeze, because he has a point.
Seabreeze has a point.
Almost immediately you're able to side with Cranky because Pinky's being an obnoxious extrovert. And if you're me, or one of the 3 or 4 other people who liked Griffin the Brushoff, you feel really sorry for Gilda by the end of the episode. And Diamond Tiara, but I haven't fully reviewed that episode yet. But with Limestone, it's just like, great. Don't fuck anything up, I get it. But she did spend most of her time snapping at Pinkie Pie.
What'd I say about the boulder?
But for some reason, the revelation that she's actually been snapping at Pinkie Pie made her sad.
Then it's my fault too.
And they also can't throw a generically shy character at us and expect us to be on the edge of our seats. I get it. It's realistic for someone who doesn't want to talk to people to not talk to people. Come on, we're writing a TV show here. Let's make something happen.
And then I'm with Applejack, of course, since we might be cousins.
You all might be cousins. Equally. That's how siblings work. Anyway, I feel like adding characters comes with the inherent promise that we'll get to know those characters. Instead, we get a reinforcement of something that Pinkie Pie is already known for. Being really nice by sticking Marble and Big Mac together because those 2 would be the least likely to annoy the crap out of each other. But that doesn't really make for a good scene. But, you know, Pinkie Pie is also known for being rather obliviously insensitive at times, so teaming up Big Mac with Limestone and Marble with Applebloom and even Maud would have made for better scenes. Limestone and Big Mac are both hard-working farmhands. They could have talked about that. Or simply being alone with someone who she introduced herself to like this.
Gaze into the eyes of Limestone Pie.
Could be an opportunity for her to explain herself. Or something. Where I got most of my enjoyment out of this episode was in Team Old's interactions. I tend to like older characters a lot, because they're not caught up in the whole having an arc thing. Young characters are learning, adult characters are developing, but old characters typically
don't give a fuck! Just shake that ass, bitch, and let me see what you got.
And it makes Granny Smith seem really likable that she's the one who's able to look beyond their differences and speak in the universal language of sex jokes.
Do you reckon it knows any airport farming hunks?
Which, reasonably, could have gone horribly wrong, but instead it gets met with stifled laughter. And they have conversations about why they're doing the things they're doing, which is sort of relevant when learning about others' traditions. Which brings us to the conflict of this episode, which was interesting. Well, no, it wasn't, because they spoiled the resolution before the opening credits. What? You can hear the fucking train whistle from inside the castle? That's bullshit. But the presentation of the conflict is neat, because we're sitting here trying to figure out whether everyone except Granny Smith is right or wrong. Because the apples are the guests.
Pinkie Pie's family never had a real hearthwarming.
And they should respect the traditions of the Pies. But at the same time, the Pies really overreact to a couple of decorations.
But what about what we usually do?
Well, I'd say you usually do that stuff. So maybe try new stuff.
It's gonna take me ages to get this rock farm back on track.
What does that mean? Were the decorations messing up your workflow? Were the apples just gonna leave the decorations here? Or did they get them? What's going on?
And how are we gonna lift Holder's boulder?
Like this? Or however Pinky got this boulder up here? Stop half-assing your continuity callbacks. By the way, there's a fault line this sensitive right above a mine? Or slightly to the left of where a mine is? That seems like a problem. Then Granny Smith tells the story about the big rock, and Applejack arbitrarily decides this information justifies their crappy traditions.
That is important. I got so caught up in the things they were doing, I never asked why they did them.
I mean, I never got the impression that AJ didn't acknowledge the reverence the pies hold Holder's Boulder in.
Both our families, opening presents, raising the flag.
I just got the impression that AJ thought it would be more fun to celebrate Hearthwarming Eve Apple family style. Like, why does the reason even matter to her?
The ponies decided to work together, and their friendship drove them nasty critters away.
Especially because the version of the Hearthwarming Eve story they tell in this episode wasn't even similar to the version told in Season 2.
I didn't know unicorns could do that.
I didn't either.
Get your facts straight. I mean, the original story was about fleeing your home to avoid starving. How does that translate to feasting and opening presents? At least finding a giant lucky rock has something to do with finding hidden presents. So at the very least, this episode leaves us with something to think about. Now, on a different note, the pies aren't that smart. Why are they trying to roll the rock tallways? Like, that's not gonna work. How did the apples get down in the hole without them noticing?
Surprise, motherfucker.
Then Applejack says some stuff that doesn't make any goddamn sense.
I wasn't trying to take your traditions away. I thought we needed the same traditions right away.
Those two things don't go together.
What I should have done is learn about yours and teach you about ours.
Wasn't she doing exactly that? AJ learns through immersion.
I picked all that up over years in the field as a labor of love.
So are they trying to imply that she had some other intention behind introducing the pies to her family's hearthwarming traditions? I don't know, this episode is just sort of awkwardly written.